Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and the Maw and Disorder mini set has been out for a couple days now, and I've been scouring Twitter, HS Replay, Reddit, Ask Jeeves, I don't know, all over the place for 5 different decks in both Standard and Wild that you can take and reasonably expect to climb, whether it hits Platinum, Diamond, or maybe even Legend for the very first time. Be warned though, craft at your own risk. Some of these decks might not work out. You never know your meta. You never know what could get nerfed. You just never know. Try and go with decks that, well, maybe you have a lot of the cards for already. And before we get into the decks, I do want to thank everybody. We hit the halfway point of our next 1,000 subs on our road to 60K, and at 59,000, we're gonna have a bigger and better giveaway. Keep in that sub button. It's unbelievable the support you guys keep showing me. I just, no words. Thank you all for that. And well, let's get into the decks. And actually, if you look through here, it's a bit more than 10. I threw in some bonus ones because, well, we have the Jailer in the game, and so far he's actually just not been super competitive, but I wanted to share some Jailer lists that you might want to try out if you have the cards. Keep those for last though. So starting off with Rat Hunter. It's not the big beast hunter. It's all about rats. You got Rodent Nest. You got Sindori, Scent Finder, which I overrated way long ago, and even Rats of Extraordinary Size. And basically you want to constantly create a wide board for your Shadehound, the brand new beast, to buff up your cards. This is a 5-mana 6/5. When it is infused by 3 other beasts, it gives your other beasts +2/+2, which is even better than Arbor Up used to be, which was just an incredible card. And yes, this card is worth building around in the style, and you still have your Wild Spirits, you still have your Harpoon Gun, you still got that core in there. It's more about early game, going wide with rats and just hitting your opponent. You have your hero card here in Tavish. You still have Huntsman, Altamore, Hydrolodon, and you have the brand new Sylvanas as well for a deck that's performing very well for people. And well, it is such a hunter meta. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to recommend yet another hunter deck, Big Beast Hunter, which now tries to go a bit wider than before. We have Snake Trap in here just for the purpose of getting more beasts on the board, Afterlife Attendant to try and get your infuses going, and again, it is all fueled to get Shadehound going, but you can even cheat out with Pet Collector, and depending on how Afterlife Attendant, it can come out infused, buffing the board. But overall, Big Beast Hunter, very similar to what it used to be. It's got Sylvanas in here, it's got the big beast in the mana cheat, Saradin Atheris, but overall, Shadehound is just such a powerful card. It is just pushing these decks over the top, and well, we're probably going to talk about how Hunter's a little too good in the game tomorrow, so maybe you want to craft this, because there's a good shot some of these cards are getting nerfed. Enough about Hunter. Let's go with another Hunter class, Aggro Demon Hunter. One of the archetypes really pushed in the mini set, and it's doing very well, all because of Sightless Magistrate, the 4-mana 5/4 minion that, well, if your hand is empty, you draw 5 cards, as well as your opponent. But regardless, this is all going, you're going face. You're gonna have quick games. This deck is relatively cheap with only 2 legendaries in here, Lady Asino and Kurtrus Demon Render. And overall, you just want to play your cards, go face. You could draw more cards with Magnifying Glaive, your Sightless Magistrate, and well, try and aggro your opponent down, and the deck is doing very well. So get your smork on with these first 3 picks. That's a lot of smorking. You want to play a bit more of a controlling strategy, Curse Warlock. Renathal Curse Warlock is actually doing pretty well. They got a couple new cards to work with here with Arson Accusation, 2-mana fire spell, choose a minion, destroy it after your hero takes damage. Just a cheap removal option that wasn't present in the deck before. And you have Sylvanas the Accused in here. People are just outright running this card to try and steal Mountain Bears from Hunters, because that can just automatically win the game. And well, you have the Imp package, you have the Curse package, very similar to before, but it's got a bit of spice with a couple of new cards, and well, it's just a good controlling style deck that also can just fight for the early board and can contest against Hunters pretty well. And if you really want to go for a more ambitious control deck, I've been told by Theo, who hit rank 5 legend with his deck, there's a bait warning to this. Thief Priest has done well. He got to top 5 legend with it. However, it's very meta dependent and it's not an easy deck to play. But overall, this is a controlling priest deck that wants to win through pure value, whether it's a Murazon value, Draconid Operative value, but you even have the new card in here, Incriminating Psychic, which gets value from your opponent's hand, which you then can delete from your opponent with Harvester of Envy. Overall, this is one of the more fringe decks recommend, but I thought I would throw something in there to just kind of cleanse the palate of all the hunters. And the last two decks here are both Jailer decks. Play at your own risk. We have Jailer Paladin, which did get to rank 1 legend by Bunny Hopper, but overall, you want to kind of tutor your deck with the new card Order in the Court. That'll get you to draw your Jailer into your Cariel, to your Leviathan, and once you get your big threats, you get some stabilization, throw the Jailer down, Countess is active, your Reno is active. It's a bit of an awkward deck, but if you're looking for a flavorful Jailer deck, Jailer Paladin seems to be doing pretty well. And then Ramp Jailer Druid. This is basically old Ramp Druid with the Jailer thrown in there. You got Sylvanas as well, but overall, you can get to 20 mana and you can do things while you play the Jailer, including just Earthern scales it for insane armor, and then all your minions are immune for the rest of the game. There's no anti-fatigue plan in this deck. It's just all about winning in a couple of turns once the Jailer comes down. And I believe Casey had a lot of success with this, so maybe you can give it a go as well. The core is just similar to old Ramp Druid. Moving on to Wild, we have Secret Mage. Secret Mage got some insane tools, and I can attest for my achievement hunting with this stuff. Even with a bad achievement hunting deck, it's just really good. Objection, the new secret, one of the best secrets ever. It negates battle cries. The minion just ceases to exist. It's incredible and basically impossible to play around unless you have a small minion to get around it. And of course, you have Contract Conjurer, and when you have so many ways to cheat out secrets early and you only need 2 on the board, well, it's 0 mana really quickly, and the rest is just your usual Secret Mage shell. But my goodness, these 2 additions has elevated this deck back into the meta, well, for better or worse. I know there's a lot of people that don't like it, myself included. Next, I'm just going to recommend Even Shaman. No new cards. It's just Even Shaman. It's really good. You could take out Sleepbreaker and put Theotar if you want to try and disrupt some stuff or whatever. But yes, Even Shaman is still very solid. It got a lot of tools like the Stormright and all of that stuff in the most recent expansion, but really not much to talk about here. It's just a really good deck, as will, I'll just say, with Pirate Rogue as well. No changes, no new cards to the deck, but it's a fast, aggressive deck that'll punish a lot of people if they're still playing Jailer decks, all those type of things. It's just really effective, really good, and nothing has really changed in that regard. However, one of the decks I haven't highlighted too much is Beast Hunter, which again, we have Shadehound in here, making this deck even better. I think it's popularized by someone named Copper, but overall, it's just a cheap hunter deck that can really get some good fuel. The Starving Buzzard, which draws a bunch of cards, you can get some Tundra Rhino turns in there. Your opponent, you got Harpoon Gun just for high rolling, maybe as a cheap Rhino, a cheap Hydrolodon, or just any cheap beast. It really doesn't matter. And now once you have any wide board, all of a sudden Shadehound can just make it even more insane. This deck was doing really well before the mini set. It's even better now, just like every other hunter deck, it seems like. And again, we'll have a video talking about that stuff probably tomorrow. And I wanted to highlight a couple of Jailer decks for Wild as well. We have Reno Jailer Warlock. I thought this was more of a realistic Jailer deck that I saw some people having at least positive win rates, where you have the Jailer, you have both. Yes, I crafted him golden. I have problems. But overall, you just have the core shell of Reno Warlock with that Jailer win condition if you really want to go for it. And you even have Tome Tampering in here with Malchezaar's Imp that can give you that high roll where you just cycle a bunch of cards back into your deck for 1 mana, redraw a bunch of cards, and well, hell, you can hit a 1 mana Jailer and do some pretty gross stuff. And the last deck I want to highlight, I'm not sure if it's bait. This isn't a Jailer deck, but I've been doing really well with it. A viewer of mine did really well, getting Legend with a very good record, and that's Mill Druid. Mill Druid might be a legitimate Wild deck. I'm gonna have to keep testing this, but I thought I'd throw it out there because, well, it basically doesn't run that many new cards, but Due Process, when coupled with Solar Eclipse, can just create such outrageous mill situations, especially coupling it with Naturalize. Your opponent struggles to get rid of their cards. You have Jade Idols in there, and for aggro matchups, you have like Ferocious Howl, Branching Paths, and of course Guff, and you also have Topiary in here to keep helping you fight for board. And yeah, the deck does extremely well against Big Priest, does very well against Reno Priest. It seems to be doing very well for me against all the other greedy matchups. It's only been a struggle against some of the aggro decks. You can even consider running Mulch in the deck, which I've seen some people do. I felt They're a little unnecessary, but if you have it, it's a decent mill option. Or, of course, you're feeling a little bit crazy, you could throw the Jailer in both in this as well and do some shenanigans. But overall, the mill strategy's been doing pretty well, and, well, I just thought I'd recommend it. And there you go. There are a bunch of decks for Standard and Wild you can try out. Again, craft at your own risk. Try and make decks work based on what you got. Enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.